Hey there, Jay here, and I just watched the first episode of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and I will give my brief thoughts on this episode. So this episode is titled A Normal Amount of Rage, and for me, this episode was a normal amount of MCU. So yeah, this episode was pretty much the normal MCU, except it kind of has more fourth wall breaking and is more self-aware of itself so far. And besides that, this episode also leans a lot into comedy. Like, of course, we always have this usual gags and humor throughout most of the MCU projects, but this one really goes for it. Kind of like Thor, Ragnarok, the Taika Waititi films. And this kind of tries to do the same thing. And as for the humor, it's a hit or miss sometimes, but most of the time it works. There are a few times it didn't, but that is probably just me. And this episode is pretty much the setup episode. Sets you up for the tone of the series, what happened. And I actually appreciate that they got the entire like origin of She-Hulk done in one episode, because with other shows it usually takes time to build. This episode didn't waste much time on the origin, like it told it all in just one episode, and we have the 8 episode of them doing all the thing they promised, like the lawyer show, and that's what I'm pretty glad about. I do have one concern though, that is of the humor. Like, I think humor is not a bad thing, but too much of it can kind of ruin the tasting and the kind of enjoyment I have out of show, because sometimes too much humor can annoy me, especially when it's like really, really, really unnecessary or awkward kind of humor. And so far, the humor in this episode feels alright to me. I'm just saying that with how the humor in the MCU has kind of gotten too much at times, I'm a bit concerned. And besides that, it's just the overall genre and tone that this show is seem to be going for. On paper, it sounds to be a really cool idea, but let's see how they execute it. But anyway, this is my thoughts on the first episode of She-Hulk. So what do you think? Do you agree with me? Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below.